Hello and happy Easter! This is the Scottish Football Show, and here's what we've got coming up. The Bairns blitz their way back to the Championship. The 5% Club fans are back at the SPFL's hottest ticket. And why is there still nae donning for the Dons? Da-dow. The business end of the season is in full swing, folks. And what an excellent weekend we've had. Yes, it was Easter, but the egg puns will not be continuing. One and done for me. Whether your season has crumbled, cracked, or melted, some fans are eagerly waiting. This is dreadful. Waiting on their team for some championship success, let's say. Joining me on the pod is someone who probably thinks chocolate is overrated. She's TNT senior producer Laura Brannan.
Whoa, let's just stop right there. Who on earth thinks chocolate is overrated?
And
Because
why?
Amy.
Why was the assumption made?
Yeah,
Because if my waistline has anything to tell you over the Easter break, it's definitely not me.
Oh, mine's gone straight to the hips. So much chocolate. But introducing our next guest from Sky Sports News, a man with his bunny paws on the pulse of everything Scottish football. It's Anthony Joseph.
Hello,
mate.
How are you?
Not bad. Been a wee while.
It has. No, I had a great Easter weekend. I gave up chocolate for Lent, actually. I do that quite regularly.
If you told me that, I could have said you thought it was overrated.
No, but I don't think it's overrated. I broke Lent. Well, I didn't break Lent. I mean, I finished Lent by having a white cream egg at 8 a.m. in the morning on Sunday.
I actually did break someone's Lent at school once.
Did you?
My mate Brendan. For some reason, I think I needed to grab something from home, and my school was like a 10-minute walk away. So yeah, it was Lent. He was doing Lent, and chocolate was what he'd given up. And on the way back from school, like my mum had just given him a boost, like a boost bar, and he was smashing it halfway through, and he went, "Oh fuck, my Lent!"
Yeah.
Just broke Lent. Yeah. That was funny between us. Maybe not on a podcast. Right, shall we do some funnies? Let's do some funnies. I want to laugh. Now, I don't really need to ask if you have seen the first thing I'm going to bring up, but Rangers went to Hibernian on Saturday and were 3-1 winners. But no one will remember any of the goals because Hibs stole the moment in the most Hibsiest manner possible. This clip has gone viral where I think is it Joe Newell who smashes the free kick and it's Joe Newell who gets hit, is it?
Yeah, Joe Newell gets hit. It's
something special.
Leantis who wants to take a quick free kick, and he just smashes it off Joe Newell's face. He must have only been like 2 or 3 yards away, off Joe Newell's face, and then it loops over and hits Will Fish in the face, who also falls down. And then if you actually watch it, there's a few clips where you don't see this properly, but if you watch it properly, you see it hits Joe Newell again.
Yeah.
Which it's just brilliant. And if you haven't seen that clip, then I don't know where you've been.
It's incredible. They couldn't have done this if they tried it like a million times over. It's absolutely. It's like the remember the old clips of the boys doing the like heading the ball to each other along the dressing room and then getting it in the bin at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where it must take so much practice to try and make that happen. But the fact that he just did that without even trying is brilliant.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy. I think even a lot of the clips had the Rangers commentary on it. I think they even said, "Oh, there's trying to do their best to kind of take out his own players there." Oh, it was a good laugh. It's so cinch. It's beautiful. But another thing that caught my eye, Laura, did you see? We spoke in the last pod. We did title it, "We're going to need a bigger badge."
Well, Kelly delivered. They brought a bigger badge.
They did indeed, but one that wrapped up.
Yeah, it was a kind of cheeky post from Kelly at the weekend. They were obviously away at Tynecastle playing Hearts, and obviously in light of what happened at the women's game last weekend, or the weekend before, the Badgegate, where Rangers defaced the Hearts badge, is what they called it in their statement. As a little dig, Kelly brought along their kind of carpet that had a badge on it, and pretended they were putting it over the Hearts badge, just to make their mark and show that they were there. But yeah, it was a cheeky post.
I liked the fact that we're wrapping up. You know, they'd wrapped up, finished. Well, Kilmarnock have now finished top 6. That's secured for them, and they wrapped up the mat. It was quite nice. You actually got a mention last week, Anthony, because I noticed on your Twitter post with that whole Badgegate fiasco, you were the one who I saw basically said that the same thing had happened last year.
Yeah, so I mean, I was getting a lot of abuse for this story, and I was
really
like, it wasn't me.
Rangers fans on Twitter giving
it wasn't
abuse.
It wasn't me saying this. I wasn't the one angry about it. I was saying what Hearts had said. I actually was sort of in Rangers' following Rangers' stance on this, so I thought it was quite ridiculous. But the Hearts were kicking up a fuss of it, especially so when Hearts released their statement. I was working as well, and in our newsroom, we were, someone mentioned that there's pictures from last season where Rangers did the same thing and Hearts didn't release a statement. And so we looked back in the archive footage from last season's Sky Sports Cup final, and yeah, they were celebrating with the Rangers badge exactly in the same way, the same mat or sticker or whatever it is. And so we went back to Hearts for further comment, and there wasn't any. So I think it was just more to
appease the fans.
Appease fans at that time, but it did. The wording was very strong, defaced, and yeah, we'll ensure that this never happens again. It was quite bizarre. So I'm glad that Kilmarnock were able to make light of it.
It'll be used. Pictures like that will be used forever now. That'll live long in the memory.
Oh yeah, well, it's just going to become normal for Scottish football clubs to take their mats of their club logos and just place it in the middle of the dressing rooms these days.
But at the time when Celtic went to St Mirren Park, was it pre-season? I had a friendly there, and they put the Celtic Football Club banner over St Mirren's shop. So it's on their stadium. It's that sort of idea, and that still does the rounds. That picture still crops up.
Yeah, that was cropping up as well. Elsewhere, I didn't know Johnstone had signed for Celtic, Anthony.
Well, David Martindale must have been doing his tactical work. He must have been in overdrive, thinking that he had to try and get his players past Johnstone's in the heart of Celtic's defence. But yeah, Martindale in his post-match interview, I think it's with Livingston's TV channel, because he didn't say it in any of his interviews with the mainstream press. But yeah, I think it's just it's just a slip of the tongue. He talks about the way he opened up the team opened up in the second half, but that allowed Carter Vickers, and he meant to say Liam Scales, but said John Stones.
Because they sound similar.
Yeah, well,
Scales must be delighted, that's for sure.
He must have just been desperate at that time to get back home and watch Man City v Arsenal at that point.
yeah, actually, that was the 4 o'clock game.
Well, actually, Stones was injured, wasn't he? So,
oh yeah,
so
it's such a weird one. Like
it was a weird one. Yeah,
I've got facial blindness. I think a lot of players look the same when they look remotely similar, but they don't look similar. They don't have the same like initials. Scales, Stones.
Just caught up in the moment, Laura. You know,
such a random one.
It's an easy thing to do, get a name wrong, but that's a pretty big one. Especially different league, different team, different level.
Different nationality, different country, different everything.
Everything's different. Oh, Davey.
Just a centre back. He just named a centre back.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's wrap up that and move on to some news.
The dogs bark and the caravan passes. The caravan keeps moving. The caravan keeps going.
So a fan fiasco that's been going on for a little while, and we've had you on the show before, Anthony, speaking about Tickets and away tickets between Rangers and Celtic fans, but following talks with the SPFL, Celtic, Rangers and the police, the SPFL confirmed last week that there will be a 5% away allocation in place for next season. But that's subject to all necessary requirements being satisfied at both Celtic Park and Ibrox. So it's about roughly 3,000 Rangers fans and about 2,500 Celtic fans will be able to attend matches, and I repeat, from next season. So, first of all, go Anthony. Do you know what the requirements are to make this viable?
Yeah, I mean, it was a statement with quite a strong breakthrough. But there was a lot of loose wording there. It was around 5%. My understanding is that they're not going to be giving 3,000 tickets to Rangers and 2,500 to Celtic. I think it will be the exact same number for both sets of fans, even though there is 10,000 difference in capacity of the stadium. In terms of requirements, I think that is more just to reassure both clubs that there's the safety aspect is there, because both clubs have had concerns lately when it's been 800, which the police actually have said is harder to police when it's 800 compared to the 7,000. So just the way the stadiums are built and the way they have to organise, for example, Rangers fans coming into Celtic Park like 2 hours, 3 hours before the game, they have to close off the area and allow them to come in, and then they open up the area for Celtic fans. It was quite an operation that was made when it was down to 800 fans. So I think it's more about that, a safe passage to the stadium, the fact that there's enough facilities inside for the specific areas. The thing is, for this is what both Celtic and Rangers give for big European away followings. So like Feyenoord had it at Celtic Park, like Liverpool had it at Ibrox, Dortmund as well. So if anyone wants to know what it would look like, have a look at pictures from that game. It does look like a sizable amount of away fans, and it's good. I think it's a real step in the right direction. Hopefully they will see it through, because like I said, the wording's quite loose. They'll need to agree on an exact figure for the away fans. They'll need to be reassured that the safety measures are in place for both sets of away fans in both stadiums, which are built so differently in different parts of Glasgow. It's quite an operation, and I think the police will take a lot of lead on that as well. And but I think it's a positive step. I mean, I don't think it can be seen anything other than a positive step. I mean, let's not beat about the bush here as to why the allocations were cut. They were cut because Celtic were winning 5-1 at Ibrox, 4-0 at Ibrox, or winning with 10 men at Ibrox. They were cut for that reason. And then both clubs were in a tit-for-tat situation and in a standoff. It was either 800, sometimes it was 0. This season it's been 0 for the whole season, and it's going to be like that. So, I mean, we talk about selling our game. This fixture is Scottish football's greatest asset. It's one of the biggest rivalries in world football. It is one of the best atmospheres in world football. It's one of the most watched games globally. It's certainly one of Sky's biggest games, if not the biggest. So that people outside of Scotland are not watching this game or the quality of football. They're watching it for the atmosphere. They're watching it for the drama. They're watching it for sort of the explosive nature of the fixture. So I think the traditional 7,000 away fans created such a spectacle and sort of separated it from the rest of these kind of derbies. So to take that away, I think Scottish football and this fixture has lost that spectacle. So to bring back at least 2,500 is going to be a big thing, because they will create a bit of noise. And I think this is just a good compromise, and I think it's a positive step.
But that to me, I mean, you've basically hit it in the head right there. The atmosphere is a great way to sell our game. But Laura, I guess you're kind of with me. Like, why is it from next season? This is a title race we've not had in over a decade. Why couldn't the plans be? I know Celtic Rangers is this weekend, this Sunday. I I don't know why it couldn't just happen now, or even, well, it couldn't probably be for the last game of the season, because then it would be kind of like unfairness. Just why not now?
I think it's utterly ridiculous that we're in this situation. All of this situation, that we've went this many games without either sets of away fans, that we got ourselves into this situation in the first place. And I know you're kind of saying it's due to the results at Ibrox. I think a lot more goes into it. I think it was also tied in with COVID times. It was tied in with the birth of the Union Bears as well. Essentially what it comes down to is both clubs were being as petty as each other. And we didn't have a rule in place from the SPFL to stop it from happening. Yeah, we've now got an agreement. It's still not a rule, and it should be a rule that everyone is having to adhere to, even though it's not realistic for maybe some clubs. You can discuss these things on a case by case basis, but the fact we're in this position is a shambles. The fact that clubs, Celtic and Rangers, have operations in place to accommodate away fans every second weekend of the season. So to put it into place this late in the game when there's a fixture in a few days' time, yes, it'll be a challenge, but there's still going to be police. There's still going to be, they still know how to accommodate away fans. It should have been, right, all hands on deck here, we're going to make this work, because for the spectacle of our game, the league should have been forcing it in this early to say, right, for the sake of our game and the advert that we're putting on the TV around the world that everyone is going to take an interest in, and you finally agreed, you finally put your squabbles behind you, put this in place right now and get this done.
It's hard because tickets would have been sold already for now, so it would have been hard to implement. So you're right, Laura, in saying it's just a shambles from the start, but that's why it can't really happen now. But it's such a shame that we're in this position right now where everyone can be like, oh, there's a proper title race up in Scotland, and there'll be an atmosphere, but it won't be the one that could be as good. And Celtic and Rangers fans have to concede that. They have to concede that it's still good to have Rangers support at Celtic Park and vice versa. It's just so much better. But just before we move on, because there's still loads to talk about, it is obviously the first of two final games between the two sides in the league, that is. Do you think it will come down to this game or the final game, Anthony?
I think it'll be for the title. I think it'll still be the final game. I think people have forgotten what title races are like between these two clubs and in Scotland, especially when it goes down to the split. This is what makes the split so exciting, I feel. Where Celtic would have to go to Easter Road or Tynecastle or Pittodrie. Well, this season it's not going to be Pittodrie, but in the past. And Celtic and Rangers would drop points. So you could be 5 points clear and still lose the league. You could be 7 points clear and still lose the league at this stage. And that's the way it's been in the noughties and from then on, and like until it got into the, I was going to say the tens. I don't even know how to call it.
I hate the noughties, man. I hate it. The noughties as a decade description is just minging. I hate it, but yeah.
What do we say for the next? Do we call the others the tens? You know what?
Two tens.
Yeah, but like I remember the title races of like 2008, 2007, 2009, where it went right down to the wire, and both clubs dropped points in the final 6 games. I think it's going to go down. I don't even think it's going to. It's obviously that those two are 6-point matches, but I don't even think that is going to be the deciding factor. It's going to be how they do against the other clubs as well, because they can drop points. I mean, Rangers lost to Motherwell at home. Celtic lost to Hearts at Tynecastle just a few weeks ago. So that I don't think they're just going to both win every single game up until the end of the season out with these two matches. I think we're back. These kind of title races that we're used to are back, and I think that's a positive for Scottish football as well.
Absolutely. There is a team who has wrapped up the title already. Falkirk fans celebrating all weekend. and actually celebrated before they kicked off at the weekend, which was brilliant. Yeah, they clinched League One title on Saturday, before the game against Montrose, and they made it a hell of an evening for them. So they moved their kickoff, or Montrose actually moved the kickoff to a 5:30 tee off time.
It was on
And
Alba.
Oh, it was on Alba. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, well done, Alba.
Alba moved the time of the kickoff.
Yeah, well, quite right too, because well, not great for Montrose fans really, because they ended up seeing their team getting smashed 7-1.
Did you see the video? So last weekend, if you missed the podcast, the episode, we had John McNally on from Falkirk Daft, the podcast. So I don't know if he posted the video or he shared it, but all the fans were in a pub before the game.
Oh, brilliant.
And it was just a sea of Falkirk fans, and obviously they were waiting for it was Gordon Duncan on Sky Sports reporting on the Hamilton Accies result, and when he's confirming what happened there, they're obviously celebrating at full time, and it was just like pandemonium, and it was brilliant. I'm never a fan of not winning at the full time whistle. I think I'm kind of scarred from Scotland not qualifying on the full time whistle and watching the Spain game. I think I'll ever go for that one, but it was quite nice to just see that and see everyone still together at the same time. It's different if you're sitting in your house watching it on TV, or you're not all together. But the fact they were all together ready to go to the game was nice, because then you could just start and have the party from kickoff that way. And what a party it was! 7-1, by the way. That's
7-1. I know. And it only happened because the mighty Queen of the South managed a 0-0 draw with Hamilton. So yeah, pretty good. But 5 years they were in League One. I mean, that's for a club the size of Falkirk. It's really good to see them back in the Championship, because who knows? Like, teams that go up tend to do quite well, Anthony.
Yeah, and it's a league where you can be around mid-table and still be in the race for the playoff spot or whatever. It's always quite tight, the Championship and League One in Scotland as well. But Falkirk, yeah, they should be in the Championship, and yeah, it'll be good to see if they can make a challenge for the Premiership the season after.
I saw that the most wins they've ever had in a season is 28, which was back in 1935-36 season. Which is mad. They're still unbeaten for this season. 5 games left.
They're going for it. They're absolutely going for it. Why would you get to a stage and just go, well, job done? You have to go for it.
It's easily done though. It's easily done.
It's easy to switch off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw Chesterfield the other day lose to Altrincham, or was it Kidderminster, who are struggling at the bottom because Chesterfield are just. Sorry, I'm just a bit of a National League nut. And they won their season like last week, and first game back, and they lose. It's so easy to do.
As you're saying, they're a Championship team, and they deserve to be where they are. They've got such a strong following. They're that sort of one city team, one town team, and all the players.
They're not a Premiership team, Laura.
Hey, steady on. I'm looking ahead to next year.
You said they're a Championship team, not me.
Aye, right now they're definitely a Championship team. They deserve to be there. They've worked away. They should be there this season with this kind of squad they've got. The squad has been outstanding this season, and it's a real squad effort as well that's won this league. It's not just one outstanding player hammering home all the goals. Although Callum Morrison has been hammering home the goals, it's been a proper squad effort from them all. There's been like a proper spine of the team built there, and they should be really proud of themselves this year. They're going to be a good team to have in the Championship next year.
Yeah, nice. Laura, tell me an update about Scotland, because it's obviously the summer. We're all waiting for it, and we just want to wrap every single Scotland player up in cotton wool. But is there anything going on that we should be worried about?
A few concerning injuries coming off the back of the international break last week. Not too concerning. None of them are serious, but it is getting to that stage now where we're in April, getting a little bit nervous when I hear that certain players have got knocks, and I'm kind of getting to that stage where I'm just like, I don't want Liverpool to go far in the Europa League. I don't want Villa to go far in the Conference League. Can we just, everyone just wrap up their seasons nice and early so we can rest our boys? A few names coming out of the break there. Ryan Christie and Billy Gilmore. Turns out they both went home with knee injuries off the back of the Northern Ireland game. You probably saw Billy Gilmore was posting with his leg in a boot, in a kind of brace, watching Brighton's game of the weekend. They've confirmed that it'll be 3 to 4 weeks that he's out for. So fine. He gets a nice breakout of it and hopefully comes back and he's okay after that. And then Ryan Christie, it was a really strange quote from the Bournemouth manager. He said, right, I'm going to quote this. He said, "I think he fell in the stands or playing or something like that." So he went home basically with a cut under his knee and it was swollen. But whether he got it in the stands or whether he got it on the pitch or whether he got it tripping over the side of his bed, we don't know. It happened at some point on international duty, and they have not confirmed how long he's going to be out for. But hopefully a cut and a swollen knee is not too concerning. And the other one was Andy Robertson. Obviously, we saw he went off in the game. Jurgen Klopp has said it's not that bad, so that's fine. And that is the extent of the detail that I can find on Andy Robertson. And I'm going to take that quote and go, I like it. That's a positive.
I've seen on the Liverpool World have said his potential return game could be Man United away on the 7th of April. That's 6 days soon. Away as we're recording that right now.
There was some with a week or two off.
It is some positive.
No, I'm saying there was some positive news. That Callum McGregor should be back in training this week.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah,
because actually, I did hear that he might be in contention for the game against Rangers.
Yes, he could be, and he might get thrown in. That's happened to him in the past, I think. I remember when he came on with the mask and everything. But
can we stop throwing boys, people?
Yeah.
Can we stop throwing them anywhere, please?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
careful with them.
I'm saying, I think for Celtic and Scotland's sake, you shouldn't rush him back. If he's not 100%, he shouldn't. But you know what he'll be like. He's captain, game at Ibrox, he'll be pushing to play. But it's good news because Rodgers, at the time of his injury, said the scans were inconclusive, and that kind of made you worry a little bit with the Euros coming up. But that's good news that he's coming back.
Regrets? No, it's good laugh on it. So
I didn't find it funny.
Let's start things with Aberdeen, folks. 2-1 winners against Ross County. First time they've had back-to-back wins since December, which is good news for the Dolans. Why have they still not got a manager, Anthony? You're the man on the pulse of Scottish news, Scottish football news. Are they going to stick with Peter? Is it Levin or Leavin?
Peter Leavin, I think.
Is he leaving or is he staying?
I think he'll be staying, even if they do get a new manager in. Nobody seems to want it. That's the That's the situation at the moment, and you can understand that slightly when their league sort of status isn't secured yet. And I guess the Ross County game changes that a little bit. It looks very unlikely that they are going to face the drop, but it certainly has hindered the process. The fact that they are down in the relegation zone and could have been facing a playoff. No manager, especially if they're going for a manager from another country, from Europe, will want to come in and be in the Scottish Championship with Aberdeen. So, look, I think Aberdeen fans are getting frustrated. There's no doubt about that. Neil Warnock sort of set that off because he misspoke when he said they were close to an appointment when he was resigning on the 9th of March. But Aberdeen didn't help that just a couple of weeks ago by putting out a statement saying that they expect to have someone in during the international break, putting that kind of time constraint on that. Just don't see how that is helpful, because in football, things sometimes don't go your way, or there's so many different variables and circumstances that need to be in place for you to secure a manager or to bring someone in, especially if you're bringing them in from another country and they don't necessarily know the club or the league too well. So, and Aberdeen need to give that kind of big sell. So clearly, I mean, what's happened is that they have missed out on a number of their main targets. I mean, Jimmy Tellin at Elfsborg was one, Sopic at Rijeka, and Michael O'Neill have all ruled themselves out of the running. Michael O'Neill was just
Wow.
at the end of the week, at the end of last week,
And they were
saying he'd
definitely
committed.
approached.
They were definitely on the shortlist,
Mhm.
and they were the prime targets. So what what's happening now is Aberdeen are going to have to look further down that shortlist, but also potentially look at people who didn't make the initial shortlist from back in March. So I mean that happens, and that this is why I think it was really silly of them to come out with a statement saying we hope to have someone in during the international break, and then Alan Burrows' update came last week, which he was quite open about the process, just saying that things haven't moved as quickly as they wanted to, and I always think that's good, and for someone on the board to be able to speak to the fans openly. And I think he gets that probably from his Motherwell days, as a lot of will know. But it happens that clubs can miss out on their main targets. That is quite normal. I mean, we saw it with even at the top level. Look at Spurs. Ange Postecoglou was 5th choice. There's no doubt they were knocked back by Poch, Arne Slot, Luis Enrique, even Xabi Alonso before they went to Ange. And look at the problems Liverpool are now having. I think it was quite obvious that Alonso was their main target, but he was also Bayern Munich's main target, and he's ruled himself out of the running of both of those jobs. So it happens. If it can happen to Liverpool and Bayern Munich and Spurs, it can happen to Aberdeen. So I think
wow,
it wouldn't. Not Aberdeen have clearly said they're not wanting to. They want a manager in as soon as they can, but they do need to get this appointment right. And they'd be silly to rush into it just because there's pressure now from the fans. I think they've bought themselves a bit more time with that win over Ross County at the weekend, but it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up appointing someone in the summer and Peter Wayman is still in charge. They're obviously not wanting that to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
I mean, every football fan understands that now. It's like just do it in the summer. We get it. Get to the summer, but don't stop just dangling a fucking invisible carrot in front of the Dons fans.
But what I found strange was the interview that Alan Burrows did for Red TV. They set out, they obviously questioned that timeline and the level of expectation, and obviously the quotes from Neil Warnock who did imply, and we talked about it on this show, we all thought somebody's definitely about to come in, somebody's waiting at the door. There's a reason he has left at this time. But what Alan said was, we had that expectation as well, and I thought that was a very telling line. Very surprising line as well that he came away with this. And I don't feel like a lot of people kind of picked up on that line. That to me says that their prime candidate either dropped out or they're still working on it. And from what he then went on to say, he implied that they're still hopeful of getting their prime candidate. Now, that could be chief exec talk. That could be to try and keep everyone happy and go, don't panic yet. The big names are still involved in talks, so we take that with a pinch of salt. But it will be interesting to see when that name does come out, how long the process has been, because has it been stalled because of their place in the table, or is this a completely different person they've moved on to? It's just the line of we had that expectation as well is really interesting for me.
I think like you're right, and the people that Anthony has mentioned, it's one of those where they're not going to agree to it right now. Wait until the summer, and also wait to see what sort of budget you've got and what sort of players might be moving on. Just hold out.
They could have a decent budget next season because they're going to have the £6 million that they had for competing in the Conference League, and look what that's done to Hearts for this season.
They've recruited
from the season before. They got £6 million from the Conference League, and they've recruited well. They've been able to put players on higher wages. They've been able to offer the likes of Shankland nearly 10 grand a week. It's like really good money. And money they wouldn't get just from playing in Scotland. So Aberdeen are going to have that this summer, and I guess they also don't want to pay too much compensation for a manager who is in a job, whereas like the likes of Michael O'Neill was going to be quite a high compensation.
Yeah.
If they
and
were,
that's another negotiating tactic from a manager's point of view. they don't want to. Most people don't want to go in on a 12-month rolling contract, although that is common these days. It's very. I mean, even Queen of the South have got Marvin Bartley on a 2-year deal. You know what I mean? Like, people want security and a little bit of backing, so that'll be interesting. Motherwell drew with St Mirren 1-1 at the weekend. Marcus Fraser opened the scoring after 18 minutes, but Theo Blair equalised deep into the second half. And Laura, I do want to ask you, with your background at Motherwell, obviously St Mirren in a better position for the race for top 6, but is it over for Motherwell, do you think?
It's
great. Let's move on.
No, it's not over, because for a few reasons. Well, the sensible person would look at the table and say it's over because Motherwell are sitting on 33 points with 2 games to go. Dundee are on 39 and Hibs are on 38. Now, Dundee have a game in hand as well. They need Dundee and Hibs to lose all their games and Motherwell to win both their games. But the interesting thing to me is Motherwell's 2 games are against Dundee and Hibs. And Motherwell have a little bit of history of creating a little bit of drama, a lot of drama, in the 94th minute on the final day of the split.
Oh, really? Remind me, why? How? What happened?
A couple of years ago, they were 2-0 down to Livy and they needed a draw to get into the top 6. It was a horrible game. They played terrible, but they got a goal back on, I think it was around the kind of 75th minute or so. And then in the 94th minute, Ricky Lamy headed home, literally the last move of the ball. And that draw got Motherwell into the top 6, which ultimately got them a place in Europe. So that header was worth thousands to them in the long run. And
hundreds of thousands.
The drama that afternoon was incredible. And that was a sort of day where you never say die. You go to the last kick of the ball and anything can happen. And it's peak Scottish football where you just can't predict anything like that. So yeah, on paper, it looks like it's over. And to be fair, I don't think anyone at Motherwell, given the first half of the season, no one really would have predicted that they would be in this position anyway. So I don't think it's a disappointment for the club not to get top 6, given the overall look of how things have been going. But the fact that they're still in it at this point is a positive. And yeah, the 2 fixtures are huge, but they've got to rely on elsewhere, other teams helping them out at the same time. Stranger things have happened, put it that way.
So Johnstone were losers at home against Dundee. 2 amazing goals in this game, to be fair. The first from Lyle Cameron, who's, looking like a really top Premiership player at the moment at Dundee. Scored from about 40 yards out because the goalkeeper took an absolute, shall I say, just a wee jaunt into like halfway into the pitch before realising I am miles away from my goal. So still a great finish. But then St Johnstone's equaliser was equally awesome, probably better. An overhead kick, but the power that was brought from it from Adama Sidibe was class. But I'll stick with Dundee because they were winners. Unbeaten in 3 as well now, form they haven't seen since October. Has Dundee surprised you, Anthony? Championship winners last season, amazing feat that was on the last day. But then they lost their manager, and Tony Docherty. I think everyone doesn't have a bad word to say about him.
They've coped really well in this first season back, and it's a real testament to Tony Docherty in his first role as a proper manager after being Derek McInnes's number 2 for so long. And I mean, he learned well, obviously, from Derek McInnes. But it's also a testament of their recruitment and how they've approached games. They seem to win, lose, draw. It's almost like exactly 10-10-10, but they've won 10 out of their 30 games this season and drawn 9 of them. That's half of the season where they haven't lost, which is, if you look back at previous teams who've come straight up, that's quite a good feat that they've managed to reach. So yeah, it's always quite tight around that part of the table, like Laura was saying, how Motherwell could still make it. Dundee could end up in Europe, or they could still end up in 9th place. So it's really we could be talking about Dundee in a different way come the end of the season. But so far, they have coped really well in their first season back in the Scottish Premiership, and yeah, I don't see them finishing ninth. I think they will probably continue their run of win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw.
The last time Dundee were in Europe was in 2003 in the UEFA Cup. Imagine Dundee back in Europe. That'd be class. Look, Anthony, can you take us lower down, starting with the Championship, and tell us what's been going on there?
Yeah, Dundee United extended their lead to 4 points at the top of the Championship after beating title challengers Wraith Rovers 2-0 on Saturday. United manager Jim Goodwin has said his side can't get carried away, but it was a massive win for them. Also, Partick Thistle are 9 points clear in third place after their 1-0 win over second bottom Inverness. Chris Doolan's men are the second highest scorers after Dundee United. Could that confidence be crucial in front of goal in a playoff scenario? Jags fans will hope so. Dunfermline moved into the playoff positions with a 3-2 away win over rock bottom Arbroath. It's worth flagging, Airdrieonians have 2 games in hand, so the race for the top 4 finish is tight.
I'm laughing, Anthony, because you read that perfectly. You just perfectly read it absolutely beautifully. That was class.
Thank you.
Love that. We did mention Falkirk winning the Championship earlier on, so it's kind of the race for a playoff spot. So it's between really Alloa, Montrose and Cove Rangers. One of them are going to miss out, but it's really tight between them. All 3 sides are in bumpy form, but Cove and Kelty are on 46 points. Alloa in third are on 48, and obviously Hamilton are in second, but are quite a distance away from those 3. So it's a battle for third and fourth. Alloa actually play Montrose a week after next, and then following that they play Cove. So it's going to be a really interesting few weeks in League One for the playoff race. At the bottom, though, Annan Athletic are putting up a hell of a fight. 5 games to go. They're 5 games now unbeaten, which is an incredible run at the right time. And even if they do find themselves in the relegation playoff scrap, I kind of feel like there's enough in the tank for them to feel confident themselves going into that relegation decider match, whoever gets into the up from League Two. So interesting in League One, as always. Laura, tell me about League Two, please.
So, Steny missed out on the chance to also seal the title at the weekend. Obviously, Falkirk did. But Steny could have been the first. Results didn't go their way, though, so it rolls on to next weekend. They'll win it if they will clinch it if they just win their game. It's as simple as that. They're playing East 5. But if they don't, there's still scenarios they can win it. Now, I love my permutations, so bear with me a second here. So if they fail to win, they will still win the league if they draw on the basis Peterhead don't win. If they lose, they can still win, but, and this is when it gets interesting, Peterhead, Dumbarton and Spartans all have to lose on the same day. And if the 3 of them lose, the 4 of them, including Steny themselves, Steny will still win the league.
Could you say that again?
So I hope you're all taking notes there, because I quite enjoyed working that out.
Well, East Fife won 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. East Fife are unbeaten at the moment, and they've won 4 out of their last 5 matches. So that shouldn't be easy for Steny anyway.
I want to go in the scenario where all 4 lose. Just because yes. I just want it to be that stupid.
Well, that
scenario.
That kind of smells like League Two. You never know.
And yet at the bottom of the table, Clyde still rock bottom. They lost 4-1 to Peterhead. Stranraer and Bonnyrigg Rose, they're 8th and 9th respectively, but they just cannot be split right now. They're equal in points. They had a 1-each draw at the weekend. God knows what's going to happen there, because you just cannot call it between the 2 of them. But yeah, that's League Two.
Very nice, Laura. Love that. Well, Anthony, pleasure to have you back on, sir.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
I hope you have fun on the Sky Sports News desk soon. I miss you being branded, pal. When you were branded last time, that was class.
During the transfer window, we can do that when
you need to nick a wee symbol and bring it home.
Yeah, I know, or a microphone thing.
Yeah. Oh, we're working on that. We might have mic cubes at some point for this podcast. Wow. You never know. Oh yes, some colour, pal. Some colour. Laura, always a pleasure to be in your company. I'll probably be in your company over the next couple of days, actually, because I'm coming to work with you at TNT.
In real life.
In real life, IRL. Look, will I do that heart thing that freaked us all out? Does it work anymore? If anyone knows, there's a Zoom thing. If you do a heart, actually, maybe it was just for that. Was it a Valentine's Day episode?
What?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, right, wow.
This is what people live to listen for. But yeah, in all fairness, this is the time to really switch us off. Go and listen to something else. It's probably a lot better. We're not even talking about football anymore. But thank you if you've made it this far. Goodbye.